Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Matty here from Chill TCG. It's that time of the month again. We're going to be taking a look at the 10 best decks in the standard format going into the month of January 2020. Alright, and a couple ground rules. So the rankings for each of these decks on this list are based around online tournament results throughout the entire month of December 2020. This list is to go into January, but the results are based around all the tournaments in December. And as always, big shout out to Cash Vendorman and Pokestats.com. You guys can go check them out. At Cashman27 on Twitter, that's Cash Vendorman, and Pokestats.com is actually ptcgstats.com, so definitely go check them out, and let's get into the list. Alright, starting off the list at number 10, we have Decidueye. Now this month, I decided to combine both archetypes, Decidueye and Goons, and just straight Decidueye. I figured they're similar enough, and they both revolve around Decidueye, that I, would put them together and add up all of the, the points for both of those archetypes, because technically they are separate. But for this video, all Decidueye decks are going to be together. It's number 10 on the list, ranking up with 589 Pokestats CP, so just making it on the bottom of our list here, but it does have some notable placements. It got first at Chill Series number 11. Shout out to Kakwim. First at Hegster, Season 3 number 14. First at the Hyperlux Regional, that $1,000 Hyperlux Regional, and also got 9th at E&D's number 6 and 12th at LOS Weekly number 12. So, again, there's several ways to play Decidueye right now. Some people play it, with Obstagoon. Decidueye Goons is a really good deck list. And some people are playing just straight Decidueye, which utilizes cards like Rosa and Jirachi there. So, it's a very powerful deck list. In most times, it's oftentimes just a really good meta call in some tournaments. Sometimes you won't see it anywhere close to top 32, and sometimes you see it just winning it all. So it really depends on if people, really remember this deck list and prepare for it for that tournament. But I think it's a deck that could win at any point in time. So, definitely an impressive deck list. I suggest that you guys go check it out. I'm going to go ahead and show you a straight Decidueye list. That is the one that won Chill Series number 11. To me, this seems like the more modern Decidueye list, the list that probably is going to do the best. It depends. But overall, I do think that this straight Decidueye list is the best Decidueye list that you can be running right now. So Decidueye takes number 10 on our list. And coming in at number 9, we actually have Reshiram and Charizard, Reshizard as some people call it. I've also kind of combined several lists that, revolve around Reshizard here. Some lists like Blacephalon will play maybe one Reshiram and Charizard. Things like Centiskorch might run one Reshiram and Charizard. But this, this sort of archetype here, I've kind of categorized all of the decks that are primarily based around Reshizard. So sometimes, they're categorized as Welder Box decks, but I think if a deck revolves around Reshizard, then, I added it up and put it on this list here. So it's actually seen a bit of a comeback in this past month here, especially towards the latter end of the month. It got number 9th here. It's got 804 Pokestats CP, so, almost doubled Decidueye. Has seen some pretty good success. To be fair, I think that it's still a very good deck list. It got first at Chill Series number 13, 4th at the Chill Series number 12, 6th at Hegster number 14, 8th at the Sunday Open on the 20th, and 10th at Hegster number 15. A couple people that have been playing this deck list successfully. One that stands out to me is Kobe Kawasaki. This is somebody, who has a lot of experience with Blacephalon and Welder decks in general, so I think that he is a very good pilot for this deck list, has seen a lot of success, and this deck list has some advantages over other Welder decks, like Blacephalon, like Centiskorch. Oftentimes with Reshizard, you'll see it paired up with a lot of other attackers. Sometimes it's paired with Blounce, sometimes it's paired with Cramorant, Double V, even Mega Lopunny, and Jigglypuff GX. These are all cards that do well in Welder decks and all have their specific purposes, right? So I think Reshizard has access to a variety of other attackers that things like Blacephalon and Centiskorch might not, which is why this deck list is oftentimes categorized as a Welder Box deck. But I think that Reshiram and Charizard is a very good card right now, especially, with a lot of GXs still in the format, hitting for 300 for 6 energies. Fantastic. That Flare Strike attack, 230 for 4. Fantastic. It's just a really good matchup, especially with things like ADP and Luke Metal being so relevant right now in our format. Of course, people use the Jirachi engine as well in this deck list, so that's why I have Jirachi down there with Welder. And Cramorant is a very important card in a deck list like this. It's oftentimes in here to get those bench snipes, to finish off KOs, and Cramorant's an easy setup with Welder. 3 energies, you can do that in one turn. So yeah, Reshizard taking number 9 on our list, seeing a bit of a comeback, and a card that I really like. So if you're looking to play a Welder deck, this might be the deck for you. And at number 8, we have Colossal VMAX. Now, Colossal is still maintaining some relevancy in the standard format. When it came out, it was a little bit underwhelming. It was seeing quite a lot of play, but never really got any fantastic success. People have continued to play Colossal, and right now I think it's very okay right now in the standard format. We haven't seen it win any tournaments, hasn't gotten any insane placements recently, but has been consistently placing in the top 32 and top 16 of some of these larger tournaments, which, has a lot to say about it. I got number 8 on our list with 854 points, so just above Reshizard Welderbox, but, it's seen some play and it's had some success here. It's got 5th at Hegster number 14, 9th at the Sunday Open on the 4th, 11th at Chill Series number 11, 13th at Chill TCG Showdown number 1, and 15th at Hegster number 18. Now, people play Colossal in a variety of ways, but the most successful Colossal list has been based around, using that Stone Energy to make Colossal a little bit tankier. Of course, pairing it up with Oranguru, sometimes Rotom Phone to get consistently, to consistently be able to put that fighting ground energy on the top of your deck, to do that 130 damage it is with that first attack for 1 energy. And it also accelerates to itself, just like Centiskorch does after it attacks. So I like Colossal. It doesn't seem to be sort of a top-tier deck right now, but consistently has been placing very well. And overall, I think it's a pretty good option. Yeah, we also see Crushing Hammers in Colossal a lot. It tends to be a pretty slow deck, and can sometimes, struggle with decks that are a bit faster paced in terms of energy acceleration, which is why Crushing Hammers is a really good card to be run with Colossal. I don't really have too much else to say about this card. Right now, I think it has a good spot in the meta. It hits for super effective against things like Pikarom, like Eternatus. For that reason, I think that it's still going to be, pretty relevant for the next few months. We do have Urshifu VMAX coming out in February, or is it March? I don't remember exactly, but that might replace Colossal in the current meta. We'll see. There's similar cards. Urshifu seems to be a little bit better, but we'll see. But for right now, Colossal VMAX seems to be the best. Certainly the best fighting type, ground type VMAX Pokemon that we have, and I think it's important to have a card like that in the standard format. And at number 7 on our list, we have Mewtwo and Mew GX, the Lightning variant. Now, this deck has seen a little bit less play. It's kind of deterred as the month went on. But at the beginning of the month, it saw a lot of hype and actually had some pretty good success. Mew 3 Lightning, a lot of people kind of have said that it's a little bit, it's very similar to Pikarom, but overall less consistent. I think personally it has a better matchup spread with the ability to incorporate all of these other attackers with Aurora Energy. It makes the deck a little bit, better in terms of its matchup spread, but overall less consistent. These deck lists don't incorporate hammers, which is something, that's, important to understand, right? But other than that, I think that this deck is phenomenal, and it's definitely a really fun deck to play. I got first at LOS Weekly number 12. Shout out to Azul GG. Second at Chill Series number 12. Fourth at the Sunday Open on the 20th. 10th at Chill Series 11. And 13th at the Sunday Open on the 20th. So, it has seen some success. I think it's a really good deck list. It stands to be said, I don't know if it's better than Pikarom. Pikarom definitely has seen more success. But overall, I think that adding Mewtwo into Pikarom lists make overall, Pikarom lists better. This one seems to go like that extra mile and really incorporate a variety of attackers in this list. 925 Pokestats points, so just above our number 8 spot. But overall, I think it's a really fun list, and it is a very good list. I personally think that it has a little bit higher of a skill threshold. So a lot of times you'll see the higher level players doing well with this deck list. You have a lot of options, which means it's of course harder to pilot than some of these other decks on the list. But other than that, I find it a very interesting deck and a very fun deck to play. Spoiler alert, we don't see Welder Mewtwo on this list this month. I believe it was like 11th or 12th on the list, so just missed out. But other than that, I think that this is probably the best Mewtwo list that you can be running. I mean, partially due to the fact that Pikarom is probably the best deck right now in the format. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say about Mew 3 Lightning. I got the list up here. There's plenty of things to talk about, and I have covered this list in my own video. So if you guys want to go check out a list that or a video that explains this list in detail, then definitely go check out that video. And moving up to number 6 on our list, we have Centiskorch VMAX. Now, I feel like a lot of people recently have stopped playing Centiskorch VMAX in favor for some of the other Welder decks, like that Reshizard list that we saw, and maybe things like Blacephalon. But Centiskorch, of course, still being a very high-played deck and a very successful deck right now in our standard format. We're jumping up to 1,775 Pokestats CP, so a lot more than number 7 on our list. But yeah, Centiskorch VMAX, still a very good list. It got first at Sunday Open on the 3rd, first at Hegster number 16, second at Hegster number 18, third at the Chill TCG Showdown number 1, and third at the LOS Weekly number 12. So, a lot of familiar faces right up here on this list. Thomas Brophy, Cash Vinderman, Tate Whitesell. Oftentimes we see the same players playing Sanduscorch and consistently placing well. So it's one of those decks that is favored by some and not favored by others. It's dropping down on this list compared to last month. I believe it was number 4 or 3 last month. So, quite a bit of a fall here, but I think that's just because, other welder decks have popped up and less people have been playing Sanduscorch. These days, it seems like the only way or the best way to play Sanduscorch is ability Sanduscorch with a variety of Pokemon. Of course, you have the Jirachi engine, you got the Heatran GX, you got all the Pokemon with abilities that help make Sanduscorch a bit more consistent with its matchup spread. However, people are actually running Reshizard in Sanduscorch now. People like Thomas Brophy have sort of revolutionized this this deck list and made it something a bit different in recent months. Sanduscorch is a lot different than it used to be when it first came out, but it's still going strong. It's still one of the best welder decks right now in the format, and it's by far probably the most successful fire-type VMAX. So I like Sanduscorch VMAX. I think it's always been one of the best VMAX Pokemon that we have right now. Going down to number 6 on the list kind of seems a little bit tough. I believe probably it deserves to be a bit higher on the list, but it is what it is, right? But again, not much I can say about Sanduscorch. It's definitely a very good deck list, and I got an example of it right up here on the screen. So go play Sanduscorch if you're looking for a welder deck. It's going to be a lot less expensive now than it was, a month or two ago. So it's definitely a viable list for you to go pick up and play. And Sanduscorch VMAX. And next up at number 5 on our list, we have the other welder deck, Blacephalon, Baby Blounds, right? We were on with the Lone Blound last episode. He had a lot to say about Blacephalon. In my eyes, I feel like this is one of the best decks in the format still. Whenever we have a best-of-3 tournament, sort of a regional-style tournament like we do with GG Tour, Blacephalon always seems to do very well in those best-of-3 formats. So, to me, Blacephalon is one of the best decks in the format right now. Doesn't see as much play as the other decks that we see above it on the list, but overall, I think that its placements have been super, super consistent. One thing with Blacephalon that I want to note is a lot of people are, kind of turning it more into a welder box deck. A lot of times they put in Reshizard in Blound's list. A lot of times they put in Cramorant. And overall, Blacephalon is evolving, which is nice to see, but it's still the same Blacephalon that we have all come to love. It still takes those big KOs, and overall, it's a pretty affordable and more of a budget-type deck list, and definitely the cheapest list that we have here in the top 5, right? So I personally like Blacephalon. In my opinion, it's the best welder deck, but it heavily incorporates other attackers these days, which I think helps with its matchup spread and overall making it a bit more consistent against a variety of decks. Of course, utilizes Welder. Fire Crystal is a very important card in this deck list, in this archetype, for sure. But, nowadays it seems like it's incorporating a variety of cards to make it just that much more interesting these days. I got first at Crollo number 4, second at the Chill TCG Cup number 2, third at the LOS Weekly 13, fourth at the Sunday Open on the 27th, and fifth at Chill Series number 11. It's got 802 Pokestats points, so just above Sanduscorch, just inching and above it. This past month, like I said, a lot of people have dropped Sanduscorch for some other welder decks. Blacephalon seems to be one of them, and I can't blame them. I think Sanduscorch is an extremely powerful list, and with the more, with more VMAXs and tag team decks that revolve around these 2 prize and 3 prize Pokemon, Blacephalon is going to just get better and better. I think it struggles with other single prize archetypes, which is fine, because it's got one of the best matchups against some of the the archetypes that are based around 3 prize Pokemon. So Blacephalon, as long as 3 prize Pokemon are around, Blacephalon will be around as well until it rotates at least. But personally, one of my favorite lists on the list, Blacephalon at number 5. And at number 4, just above Blacephalon, we have Luke Metal Zacian. Now, this is probably the lesser played Zacian archetype here. There's definitely 2 of them in the format for sure, but Luke Metal, still an incredibly powerful list. It's not as played as Pikarom or ADP right now, but overall, I think that it's a phenomenal deck list and definitely one of the best decks right now in the format. I got first at the Chill TCG Showdown number 1, second at Chill Series number 13, second at LOS Weekly number 12, third at Chill Series 14, and fourth at the LOS Weekly number 13. 1,876 CP, so, it's up there. It's a lot higher than most of the decks on our list, just above Blacephalon and Sanduscorch. But Luke Metal, it's the same old Luke Metal ever since Coding Energy came out in Vid Voltage. This deck list has just seen a bit more of a boost in play as well as success, I think. Not needing to incorporate weakness card energies into Pokemon that only have metal energies in its attack cost, like Zacian, makes this deck list that much better. It still has access to things like Zamazenta, Zacian. Hammers is a big one in Luke Metal, as well as using Pokédolls, right? This isn't necessarily a stalling deck list, but it does thrive in the long game. And a lot of times, decks just don't really have the firepower throughout the whole stretch of a game to really take down Luke Metal. And if Luke Metal sets up early and it gets those hammers off, if it gets that GX attack off, and knocks off your energies, then listen, you're in a tough spot, and it honestly does decently well against a lot of welder decks. Of course, it still has it struggles for sure against things like Blacephalon, like Centiskorch, even Reshizard, but overall, I think that those matchups have gotten better for Luke Metal, and it still has a very good matchup against other things in the format right now. Things like ADP and even Pikarom or Eternatus, they actually kind of struggle with Luke Metal, and because of that, I think Luke Metal is a very powerful deck right now in our format. If you're looking to play the long game, and if you're looking to, kind of not lull your opponent to sleep, but, really drag the game out to its longest, then I think Luke Metal is the deck for you. This deck is a little bit harder to play than things like ADP, since, you are playing for a longer period of time each game. But because of that, it's a little bit more interesting, and plenty of great players choose to play Luke Metal, and I think that says a lot. And now moving on to our top 3 decks. At number 3, we have Eternatus VMAX. Now, the big heavy hitter, Eternatus VMAX has been one of the best decks in the format since it came out in Darkness Ablaze. In December, it was no different. Eternatus VMAX saw a lot of play, honestly. It was probably the most played VMAX deck in the format right now. After a little bit of time, after it came out, it became a bit more affordable to build this deck, to play it, to get those Crobats, get those Eternatus VMAXs, and it's honestly well worth it. If you play Eternatus VMAX consistently, and you're a good player, right, you're probably going to actually get some good results. Personally, my favorite way to play Eternatus is the Poison variant, but we see a variety of different people building Eternatus lists. Of course, there's the straight Eternatus list that's focused around Zigzagoons, Hoopas, and getting those Crobats and Eternatuses out there, sprinkling some damage counters out with Zigzagoons while just hitting consistently for 270 with Eternatus VMAX. But other other variants that we see with Eternatus VMAX are, the Disruption version, which utilizes Crushing Hammers, Power Plants, and a variety of other cards to make it a little bit harder for your opponent to set up while you just go ahead and consistently get the Pokemon on your board and just slap them for 270 every round. You have a lot of HP, so a lot of times, you're living for a while. And if you force your opponent to play the slow game, then a lot of times, they're going to get punished. Eternatus VMAX, I don't know how much it actually struggles with things like Colossal, or Excadrill or whatnot, but it's still a very powerful deck right now in the format. Not a lot of great fighting type cards right now can stand up to Eternatus VMAX. But in my opinion, the best variant is the Poison variant, which utilizes things like Toxicroak to add more damage counters on. You got things like Galarian Slowbro V to just automatically inflict poison at the beginning of every turn or whatever, whenever you might be using the ability on Slowbro. And you have things like Dark City and Hiding Energy to get that free retreat to switch in and out between Slowbro and Eternatus. So to me, that's the most powerful version. You can hit for like 320 on your second or third turn pretty consistently, and that's enough to KO even the biggest VMAX Pokemon, right? Like things like Centiskorch and such. So Eternatus VMAX, it's definitely one of the most powerful decks right now in the format. I kind of like its spot here at number 3 on the list. I think that's pretty fair. It's had some good placements. First at LOS Weekly, number 13. First at E&D's, number 8. Second at Chill Series, 14. Second at Hegster, 17. Second at Hegster, 16. So, a lot of really good placements for Eternatus. It's won some. Gets a lot of top 4s. Gets a lot of finals appearances for sure. A lot of second places. But, that's nothing to scoff at. Eternatus is an extremely powerful list. It's got 2100 CP, so definitely nothing to scoff at. If you can afford it, and if you're looking to build a powerful, consistent list, Eternatus might be the deck for you. And our second spot on the list this month goes to Pikachu and Zekrom. Pikarom, man, it's in my opinion the best deck in the format. But throughout the month of December, it wasn't played as much as our number 1 deck on the list this month. But for my money, in my opinion, it's the most consistent deck list, and definitely the best deck list. Specifically, in these best of 1 formats, I think that Pikarom, thrives. It's got an incredible matchup spread, and sort of the newer versions of Pikarom that people are playing these days make the list even better. People like Zach Lesage have really innovated this list, and his Players Cup 2 win really put Pikarom at the forefront of the standard format right now. A little bit to say about Pikarom specifically. I think people are really understanding that Bolton V is an incredible card in this deck list. People are running 3, even 4 in some deck lists. But more importantly, people are including Mewtwo and Mew GX in this deck list. And people have finally realized that, this card works very well in this Pikarom list. It's able to utilize the same attacks that Raichu and Alolan Raichu GX can, as well as Pikachu and Zekrom GX, while giving, giving these Pokemon effectively more HP, right, when you're using Mewtwo and Mew, while also giving them one less, energy in their retreat cost, as well as, getting rid of their weakness to fighting, which, doesn't seem to be that big of a deal. But Mewtwo's really only weak to Psychic, and the only other Psychic cards that we see in the format right now are Mewtwo itself, right? So overall, it gives the deck a lot more consistency. You get the attacking options of both, Pikarom and Choo-Choo in your deck. So I think that card, Mewtwo, makes this deck list just, puts it over the top as for sure the best deck right now in the format. It's interesting that I'm talking about our number 2 spot on the list being the best deck, but overall, I really think it is. I think it's only number 2 because it sees a considerably less amount of play as the number 1 deck on our list. And I think it also utilizes Crushing Hammers really well. And right now, the best decks in the format really do utilize Crushing Hammers to the most effective, right? And Pikarom is no different. I think that if you're not playing Hammers in your Pikarom list right now, you're probably going to struggle. I think that Crushing Hammers makes most decks better in the format right now, and overall really caps off your matchup against ADP. So, Pikarom number 2 on our list. It's an incredible deck. And I got first at the Chill at the Chill TCG Cup number 2. Got first at Hegster 18, first at Hegster number 17, first at Sunday Open on the 20th, and first again at Hegster 15. So this month it saw an incredible amount of first place finishes. You're looking at these placements and these points. You're like, how is this not number 1 on the list? And the answer to that, my friend, well, you'll see in just a second. ADP Zacian is our number 1 deck on the list this month. Might not be a surprise to most of you, but for me, it is kind of a surprise. I thought that Pikarom really took the cake this month, had the most first-place finishes by far, but you know what? This list is based around the total points that these decks get throughout the month, and of course, they do get points for making top 8, top 16s, and top 32s, which ADP seems to just dominate. Most people are, more people are playing ADP than any other deck in the format right now. That stands true. And it's kind of being a little bit, it's a little bit much, and it makes the format a little bit less healthy, a lot of people think. Other tournament organizers like Limitless Online, the LOS Online Weekly Series, just for one example, they've actually banned ADP from their tournaments going into this month of January. So for that reason, I think that ADP is probably played a little bit too much, and I have a lot to say about ADP, but you know what? I'm not really going to get into it. ADP is number 1 on our list. It got 3,943 Pokestats CP points there. Not too much more than Pikarom at number 2 on our list, considering how much more it was played. If we look at the placements, too, it only got first here at Chill Series number 12, and the rest, aren't first-place finishes. It got second at Chill TCG Showdown number 1, first at Chill Series 11, third at Hegster's number 15, and fourth at the Chill TCG Cup number 2. So, not a lot of first-place finishes for ADP. Definitely not as much as Pikarom, but, more top 16s, top 32s, and stuff like that, which is, I think, why ADP is higher up in the list, because just more people play it, and that's how this list goes. I'm going to put a deck list here on the screen. A lot of people, of course, are utilizing Boss's Orders, Zacian, Metal Saucer. Those are all very important cards in ADP Zacian. No matter what deck list that you're seeing or looking at or playing for ADP, you're going to have those cards incorporated. They're extremely important. Zacian's in the name, But a lot of people are playing Crushing Hammers in ADP. That's probably the list that I'll show here on the video. That seems to be the best list for ADP. Just like every other deck, if you're not playing Hammers, you're probably going to struggle a little bit. Maybe other than Welder decks, right? But ADP Zacian, man, number 1 on our list. I hate to say it, but you guys are still playing ADP, so it's still going to be number 1 on our list for the month. But that's going to wrap up the list, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I've been Matty from Chill TCG, and these videos take a long time for me to make. All of the panels here, all the graphics, and commentating over them, it puts, it's a lot of work that I put in for these videos. I really appreciate you guys watching. And if you enjoyed the list, if you made it this far in the video, click subscribe. It means a lot to me. We're so close to 1,000 subscribers, so I would really love to get there. Click a like on the video if you liked the video for sure, and comment below, what deck list you think is the best. Of course, this ranking is based around, the total placements throughout the month of December, so, the amount of times people played the deck is going to be a factor. Yeah, let me know. Which deck list do you think is the best on this list? There's a lot of great decks. None of these decks are necessarily bad decisions. If it's number 10 or number 9 on the list, that doesn't mean it's not a great deck. It's a fantastic deck, and it's all of these are really great decks. But I'm going to wrap it up here. I've been Maddie from Chill TCG. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next month for our next top 10 list.